Hello everyone, how you doing? So, I am in the comfort of my flat. It's very cold outside, it's been snowing. You might be able to make out some snow on the trees there. I am wrapped up in my brand new camouflage ripstop jacket from Arctis, which is going to help me barge through the thorns of Scotland, which I can't wait to do. But something I can't wait to do even more is tell you about this revelation that I've just discovered a couple of days ago. Yes, it's massive news. You've already got it. Yep, it's in the title. Norway was a platinum run. I know. What? What are you on about? Why are you only telling us this now? How have you only just worked this out? Well, I don't know why it's taken me quite so long for the penny to drop on this one. But it's dropped all the same. And it's dropped in spectacular fashion. I'm a very happy man, and I'm going to do my best to explain it to you right now. Well, I say that. It's really not that complicated, to be honest. So let's jump right into it. Let's get into Garmin Basecamp and Google Earth, and all shall be revealed. Now, most of you will remember the Norway line analysis video, which I released not too long ago. And the main feature of that video was this disappointing revelation that this yellow line, which is the line that I had drawn on Garmin Basecamp, the straight line if you like, was on average about 12 meters south of my walked line. I'm going to call the blue line the walked line. That's the route that I took, hence why it's a bit squiggly. And it was devastating because, okay, 12 meters, you might not think that's a lot, but you know, it manifested itself at points like this, steep gradient 3 or 4, can't remember which one it was, in huge deviations like 39 meters, and it just made a mock. It just was quite humiliating for me to have this issue and to not know why it had happened. But on the back of that video, I was flooded with emails. I mean, I had hundreds of emails, most of which I can't reply to individually. I'd still be here typing now. But I was flooded with emails from all sorts of people, you know, from data analysts, just good old map nerds, and everything in between, GPS experts, telling me what they thought the problem was. And the overriding theme was basically map projections and the curvature of the Earth. And to sum that up, a straight line drawn on a map projection, a 2D map projection, which stretches things out to make it look square and not spherical, which is what you need for a map, isn't going to be a straight line on the surface of the Earth, right? And that is what we can see here. This line here, the yellow line, is a straight line drawn on a 2D Mercator map, as far as I'm aware. And the walked line, because it was on the surface of the Earth and quite close to the North Pole, remember, the further towards the North Pole you get, the more distorted, the bigger the gap will be between the two, and that's why there's a discrepancy. However, there were still a few things that didn't add up and were confusing me about this until very recently. First off, if I've drawn this straight line, this yellow straight line on Garmin Basecamp, Garmin's own software, which gets uploaded, this line and this bird's eye imagery get uploaded to my GPS system. In fact, you might be able to see it there, or maybe my webcam's covering it. It gets uploaded straight to it. So why would the line on my screen, which I followed, be different to this one that I've drawn on Garmin Basecamp? What's up with that? Surely that can't be the case. Well, it was. The other thing that confused me no end was the added factor of Google Earth. So let's switch over to Google Earth now quickly. Now, Google Earth was the software that I actually planned the line on, okay? Because you can actually see shit on here, unlike this. So I planned the line on here, I got the exact coordinates, and I put them into Garmin Basecamp. Now at this point, I presumed the lines were both correct on both. But post-mission, I also presumed that these lines were the same because I was told that Google Earth also won't have an accurate straight line on the surface of the Earth. So I was under that impression for a while. However, whilst messing about on Google Earth more recently, trying to get to the bottom of this, I figured, look, this thing is a sphere. How can this line, for example, I don't know, London to Calgary, how can that not be a straight line? Look at it. You know when you're on a plane and it has the flight path and it's a big curve and it goes over Greenland? Right? That's on a normal 2D map, isn't it? This isn't, and it goes over Greenland. That is a straight line. So I did a bit of research, and I talked to a couple of my guys on Patreon and on emails, and they said, yeah, you're right. Google Earth straight line is accurate to real life. So then it twigged. Why don't I export this line here, save it to my computer, which I didn't think you could do, by the way. I was also wrong in assuming that lines on Garmin Basecamp couldn't be put onto any other software. Wrong again. That's just me being, I don't know what the word is, stupid. I did manage to export it into a certain type of file and get it onto Google Earth. And this is where the magic happened. So here is the straight line on Google Earth, which I now know is straight. And I'm about to check a box which will reveal the newly uploaded or imported walked line from Norway. So here it is. There it is. So as you can see, it's completely covering the red line from this altitude, but you know, that doesn't mean anything. Might be quite thick. So I zoomed in to this area, because why not? And it didn't take me long to figure out what was going on here. It hugs it beautifully, doesn't it? All these deviations here are much more centered, and as we go along the lake, it's hugging it beautifully. There's no gap whatsoever. And by this point I knew I was getting all excited, but what did I do just to make sure? I instantly went to these deviations, the big deviations, and got this ruler tool out. And hands shaking, no, it wasn't like that, but excitedly I started measuring. 22.97 meters. Let's just put it to the end of the red line just for good measure. No more than 23.5 meters. So by this point I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing, but let's not count our chickens. Let's get this one up, because you never know what might have happened here. 21.13, 21.64. Again, the angle isn't a completely 90-degree one because I'm doing it by hand, but no matter which way I wangle it, it's no more than 21.64. And at that point I knew, because the only remaining one is this one, and as some of you will have realized, the lines were on top of each other at this point anyway. But funnily enough, this one might be the biggest of the lot. It's it's about 23 meters. And there are no other points on the line that could deem it gold and not platinum. So I knew at that point, as long as my thinking was correct here, that this line was indeed the straight line, we've done a platinum run. And I was over the moon. Not only because I'd done a platinum run, my first successful straight line mission was a platinum run. Although I will just say now, going forward, we're not just going to use that system alone, but I'll talk about that a bit later on. There's going to be another measurement which I'm going to imply to better judge the success of a straight line mission. But it also means the problem's solved. I don't have to worry about this issue happening again. I don't have to buy a really expensive GPS system or new software or anything. It's been solved. there is no issue anymore. We have the accurate reading right here. And yes, I can upgrade my GPS system. I might do that. I might upgrade the Garmin to the Montana, which picks up more satellites, so we'll have more accuracy. But really, that ain't the issue. That wasn't the issue. The issue was Garmin Basecamp and its Mercator map projection. And that's pretty much all there is to say. I think we can go over here because this was a point of concern, which might still be on some of your minds. The jump, the sudden jump to the right. Well, really, with this line that now follows the walked line more accurately because it's slightly curving, well, it's not actually on Google Earth. It would be on Garmin Basecamp. But really, with this more accurate red line, we can see that that jump that I thought was such a jump kind of isn't. I just veered too much to the left and then jumped to the right, and then I was kind of just above it. But I think I put that down to me kayaking a bit too far to the left because I didn't think I had to beach yet. And then when I did beach, just simply stepping a few yards to the right to get off the kayak. That's all I put that down to. So it can be complicated sometimes. And lots of people had lots of ideas about why that happened. Some people suggested I'd moved from Sweden into Norway in terms of the datums that the GPS picks up, the satellites that it picks up. All valid points, but in the end, it's something much more simple and something that was a result of just me being pretty naff at this sort of stuff, really. But I couldn't be happier. I guess that's the only downside, is that I, should have worked this out sooner. But hey, it's done. Who cares how we got here? We got here. And this will never happen again. This mistake, if anything like this happened again, I'd know exactly what was going on. So it's a win-win, really. And I've got all of you guys to thank, those of you who emailed me and helped me out. No matter how wrong or right you were, or whether I managed to reply to you individually, you've helped. So thank you so much. How does this affect the Wales trips? Some of you will be wondering. Well, in Wales too, you might remember this point here where we deviated around that house because the owners of the property didn't really want us coming through, especially as lockdown had started, unbeknown to us. But at the time we didn't know, but when I got home and measured it on Garmin Basecamp, I claimed that it was 49.7 meters, miraculously inside the gold run parameters and not silver. But actually, what it does mean, because the line has moved a bit north, is that it is silver. It's not gold. So thank God we didn't complete the mission. No, just kidding. But look, it's 56.87 meters. So it's interesting though, because this line, the yellow line here, the straight line, is 38 meters long, which is over double the length of Norway by a long stretch. But because we're so much further from the North Pole, it doesn't have as much of a bearing. And the evidence can be seen on Garmin Basecamp if we zoom in to roughly the middle point of the line. You can see that the line is on average a bit further north, but it's only about by 10 meters. So if we get the measure stick there on Garmin Basecamp, it's about 10 or 11 meters north, whereas Norway was about 14 in the middle. So that's the difference between being down here in Wales and up by the Arctic Circle. The stretching of the map is more severe. So Wales 2, yeah, it would have had a bad impact had we finished that and just discovered right now that, in fact, we hadn't done gold but silver. Wales 1 was less affected just because we had so many big deviations anyway. That one was 80 meters, I think, and that one was 50 odd. It didn't really... I mean, you can see it's generally slightly north of the line there on average. But because there were so many big deviations anyway, and I failed in the end ultimately here, it didn't affect it as much. So that's how it affected the Wales missions. How will it affect Scotland? Well, it will be very nice to know that that's not happening again, and that I can simply get onto Google Earth, upload that file onto it, and we'll have a very accurate representation of what we did. So yeah, huge weight off my shoulders. In other news, measuring the success of a straight line has taken a giant leap forward. I don't want to show you, I don't want to set anything in stone just now by showing you what has been created, but it's a tool. It's been made by a dude. I don't know if he wants me to say his name, so I won't, but I've been working closely with him, and he's created a very swanky looking website in which you upload the CSV file, which is the blue squiggly line. You upload that, you upload the straight line, and it works out, I think, in the most accurate and fair way, the success of your straight line. And it does it by taking an average of all the distances every meter. So it'll say, first meter, you're 1 meter from the line. Second meter, you're 2 meters from the line. Third meter, you're 1 meter from the line, and so on and so on and so on. And it takes an average of that, but then it applies some interesting formulas to it which punish further deviations. So if you're 14 meters from the line, it will punish you more. It's kind of like a square root thing, an exponential thing. Look, apologies for my lack of technical phrasing here, but although I don't fully understand the formulas he's done, I'm pretty sure that it's the best thing that can the fairest way to judge the success. But I'm still going to keep the platinum, gold, and so on. So you could say, look, Norway was a platinum run, but also it had a blah 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 score of 97 out of 100. Okay, so there'll be, and you know what? We might even have other stats as well, like the average deviation, this, that, and the other. But that score will be a key label to a line, a key factor in how accurate it was. 97 out of 100. I think he graded my Wales 1 walk, and it had a grade of like 1 out of 100 because I deviated so far. It kind of just makes it null and void. That can be tweaked, as I say. That's why I'm not releasing it to you now. It might have to be tweaked, but it's very exciting. It means that things are going to have more meaning to them. And lastly, I wanted to inform you that over on my Patreon page, the $6 tier is now becoming $4. So for $4, you can enjoy a long list of videos that I've uploaded, adventure videos, things that aren't quite good enough for YouTube, but are hopefully entertaining all the same. They include such jaunts as urban exploration with my brother Ben. There are several of those. Foraging videos with Ben too. A road trip through Spain with Verity. And most recently, a recreation of one of mine and Welsh Greg's old school teenage missions, where we used to just walk east into the countryside and whatever happened, happened. Yep, we recreated one of those a year ago, and that has just been edited by Verity and is just about now available on the $4 tier, or at least part 1 is. I will release a full list of all the things that are available to that tier on my community post at exactly the same time as this video is released. So head over to there to find out what's on there if that tickles your fancy. Yes! I did a platinum run.